Hello friends, I hope you're doing very well and are using this amazing timeline to get to know your true being, your true self, and what you really desire to feel whole and like you're living in your truth with an open, gentle, loving heart. So the subjects I often talk about are usually as a result of something I've experienced or some place I've been along my journey. That journey to being one with myself. And probably something that's been either a sticking point or something I've really received tangible evidence to support a particular statement or thought pattern and can really stand by my conviction and share with the world. This one's neither. It's something I've had to learn in my life quite recently as a result of my experiences, that we are not the house we live in, we're not the person we look like, we're not the physical body we are in, and we are definitely not the person based on the relationship we have or may no longer have. Whether this is your own belief or something that you've adopted as a result of the people that were your caregivers or people that have been in your environment, people you move with, or just simply something that you picked up at the hands of society. It's a fallacy. We are not those things, and therefore it has to be eradicated from our belief system. It's become really important to me personally as of late because of the circumstances I've had to go through. I've had no other choice recently but to start all over again after both my relationship and my business ended simultaneously. I felt really exposed and really vulnerable back in 2020 because it felt like both the circumstances were out of my control. And because I couldn't see too far ahead to, see where I was going next, I just felt a bit like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I knew deep down I couldn't remain in either of the situations because both of them have become stagnant. There was no room for growth and basically unfulfilling. So I had no choice basically. I had no choice but to heed and follow the prompts that I was receiving through my intuition to take a leap of faith and embrace the potential of the new and really get to know the true me at the present. It's my humble opinion that life really begins after trauma. Yeah, I said it, but I really do believe that. I think it really takes something really dramatic in our life to shake it up and give us the impetus to look at ourselves and how we've been conducting ourselves thus far. Have we let other people have more of a say over how we view our world and how we construe the things that happen within it? Have you disconnected with your internal navigation by letting others take charge and take the lead? Have you looked at people in your environment and, coveted the things they had, the type of relationships they had or have? We do sometimes look at other people for inspiration, and as long as it's just inspiration and it doesn't come from a place of envy, then it's definitely quite harmless. Plus, it may harness that inner goddess or inner god in you that knows how to bring about the changes you want to see in your life. If it's used as an inspirational tool, that's great. However, if it lets you feel less as a person or feel bad about yourself, then you've definitely got a problem. We're all spiritual beings with a depth of knowledge that can be tapped in whenever we want to. That knowledge also holds all the insights into what we came here to do, what we came here to become before we came here to this plane. So just like the title says, our personal esteem should not be measured by our circumstances, I know it can be a bit difficult sometimes to feel comfortable in your skin, but it has to be done with inner balance. Once you create inner balance, you'll know you're here to create a legacy even. You'll stop looking at the things that you see out in your environment, and you'll remove that attachment, because that attachment is what often makes us feel less than. I've had to start in a very new environment, starting from literally ground zero, but I have had to learn that in itself is progress. Keeping yourself stuck isn't progress. Having that inner power and that initiative to say, okay, this is not suiting me, this doesn't serve me, I'm going to recreate my life, takes courage, and therefore should be celebrated. What one should realize is the world that we're experiencing at the moment is the result of the thoughts and beliefs we've held on to up until this point, and has manifested as our reality. So therefore, if it doesn't look like what your ideal dream would be for yourself, remember it's based on the past, not necessarily on what we can actually create in the future. It's just a question of realigning your mind to the things that you actually want. Or alternatively, it could be just simply the fact that you haven't held a vision. Therefore, you haven't taken the time or afraid to look at what would actually bring you joy. Therefore, you're like a leaf just flittering in the wind and are just waiting to see what life brings to you. You might find yourself floating around aimlessly at times. The way to do it is to say, for instance, just imagine you said, I want to live abroad by a certain age. That's a great starting point to start questioning what you'd actually see yourself doing. What climate you'd like to live in? Would you like to live by the sea? And by all that questioning, you can start formulating a picture. It's almost like reverse engineering. With this type of questioning, the answers you seek will be seeking you also. And when I say seeking you also, I mean by they will be also there waiting for you to cultivate them, for you to actually get them percolating, trigger them to actually rise to the surface and come to your consciousness. So it's really about knowing who you are at the present and being observant of what the universe is trying to direct you towards. Yay! It may sound easier said than done. But fundamentally, I have to go back to what I've always speak about. Mastering yourself and raising your personal esteem is an internal job. Creating a relationship with your higher self, the divine, whoever you feel comfortable communing with, will assist you to view yourself differently. You will learn that mastering your strengths and enhancing your weaknesses will help you to find more self-love within and give you a larger perspective of who you are and the world as a whole. Therefore, you'll know just by being you, you deserve all that you can potentially have in your world. By taking control of our own willpower and not allowing it to be swayed by things that are out of our control is also, my friend, where we falter the most. Being easily distracted by the things that take us out of our joy is just not on in terms of us getting what we want, even if we created them in a less evolved versions of ourselves or times in our lives. Choose a destination, choose what you want for yourself, and use all the elements within you, all the techniques such as breathing, meditation, visualization. I'm really into breathing exercise at the moment. These will keep you vibrating at a nicer, relaxed frequency, therefore put you in alignment with things and keep you in a receiving mode. And if you don't know the term receiving mode, it's just being a receptive antennae to all the information that's, all the great thing that's always there, available, floating around like a radio frequency that needs to be tuned into. It's easier for you to see the things that you're being guided towards when you're in a receiving mode, and not to see the things as something that might put you out of your comfort zone or as a hindrance or something that's not for you. That one is, one we all tend to do, and something I've really learned. I've had to actually start seeing things slightly different. I've even got a screensaver that says try and see everything that comes into your world as for you, working for you. And it really, really does work. It really shapes your perspective and helps you to approach everything as an opportunity as opposed to seeing something as good, something as bad. So if you say something's good or something is bad, you're obviously going to approach things based on the perception of what good is and what bad is. But if you try to approach everything as good, you have no choice but to look at everything from a new set of eyes and see that it's all happening for your betterment, my favourite word. Because if you're going to become a deliberate creator, you're going to have to learn to take the rough with the smooth. We live in a dual reality, so it's inevitable we're going to get both sides of the coin. We can't just have the good. We have to navigate the bad too. Everything has its polar opposite, as I keep saying. Good has its bad, negative has its positive, hot has its cold, so forth, so forth. And I'm personally trying to celebrate my life and take away anything that doesn't feel joyous so that I can remain in that place that's ready to embrace anything that comes into my world. Sometimes it's difficult not to label them good and bad, but that's one of my challenges at the moment. I'm trying to see the positive behind it all, including the thoughts I hold. I'm not letting the mind undo any of the things that keep me happy. I remember reading something the other day that went something like, the mind is a battlefield. Are you going to go into war with it and let it cheat you out of your happiness? I most definitely am not. Which always reminds me, the mind is always going to throw up thoughts that we could either observe and let them pass, or we can take them on board and go into battle with what it throws at us. It could be something that happened so long ago that's not even relevant in your current life, but if you attach yourself to it and start looking at it, you're reliving it again. Oh God, I've unfortunately had to learn all of this through the hard way, and I'm sure most of us do. Constantly going over and over things. It's just purposeless. Ain't no one got time for that. The less drama you have in your world, the more content you will be. That's the long and short of it. Finding your happiness is probably a lot easier than we think. Because sometimes we think happiness is outside of ourselves and it's some external thing that's going to bring us our joy. And of course it isn't. It is our duty to bring our happiness. Have something that you have in your mind that can always take you to your happy place. Something you can always recollect, pull from your place of comfort. I always think of myself lying on a lido on the sea. That always brings me back. Try and find your happiness. Try and find what makes you happy. Your self-esteem, who you are, the house you live, is not attached to you as a person. The only thing I would say is attached to you as a person is your inner joy and your peace of mind. And that, my friends, I would say is the priority and is the thing that will help us to elevate our personal esteem and feel at one with ourselves. On that note, I'm going to end that one there. I feel really happy that I'm back. I had a couple of weeks to rest and regroup and create some new ideas that I'm going to bring forth on my channel. So please stay tuned. I've also decided to create a Patreon where I will be creating content that I don't necessarily want to share on YouTube and I think are worthy still of being given out to you out there. If you're part of the star seed, wanting to grow, that kind of thing. I really am excited about the next chapter. I've got some really great content. I've even got an extended to this one. So what I'm going to start doing is creating content for YouTube and then also having an extended, which will probably include more tools that you can implement in order to get the results that you actually want. So please stay tuned. I'll link my new Patreon down below. But keep in mind, if you do decide to join me on Patreon, Patreon charge on the 1st of each month. So ideally wait until the 1st. And furthermore, that will give me some time to add some more content. So I've got a few pieces on there ready, but please stay tuned. And yeah, please join, please subscribe. And of course, please like. It encourages me and it also encourages others to also see, validity in what I'm sharing. I'm sure it does help some of you out there, even if you don't make it quite obvious by subscribing or liking. But anyway, I'm glad you're here anyway. So until the next time, ciao.